What's up, party people of the SFL? Welcome to episode 12 of Axis Live. I'm hoping you guys can hear me well. If you guys can hear me, let me know in the chat, please. That would be great to hear. Anyway, welcome to Axis Live. I'm your host, Dave Axis. I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. We have another jam-packed show for you, so let me show some quick love to my sponsors, Bad Boy Custom Rods and Trick Apparel, as well as my producers, Fonzie and Eagle. Again, at Fonzie in the chat, if you want to ask the panel a question, ask me a question, or if you have a comment, etc. Also, real quick, actually, speaking of love, let's see who's in here already. I want to see who comes in early. I want to start at the top here. So we got Freddie, we got the Rapid Raccoon. He's always here. Love to have him. Hugo, what's up? Ike McBride is in the house. What's up, Ike? Douglas Brown, good to see you. We got Clay Jones, Joey Tropicana, Art Vandalay. Thanks for coming in, buddy. Bob Funk, good to see you again. Into Disney. Is that, who is that? I feel like I should know that name. Foxy's here. Fox, good to see you, bro. Destin Zek. Eagle, of course, you're in there. Who else we got? Oh, Lisa, my wife. Pink Lisa's in the house. Good deal. Glad to see all you guys. Twin Screw, thanks for coming in. Juicy, all you guys. Thanks for coming in here. Really appreciate it. Looks like Hunter Norwood just popped in and Ryan Owens as well. Hey, Dags, what's up? I'll try to make sure to call you by the right name tonight. That would probably be a great start. I want to, real quick, I want to show you guys something. If you guys are looking at your screens, what we decided to do, we had a meeting after the last, oh, what up, Doe? What up, Eddie Gage? We had a little meeting after the last show. Remember we talked the last two times trying to figure out a way to take callers. Well, we figured it out. What we're going to do is if you want to call into the show, we're going to do it at the end of the show. So this show will run an hour and 15 minutes, whatever, and then we'll reserve the last 15 minutes or so for you guys to call in to whatever, chew our butts, argue with us, disagree, compliment us, bring up something we didn't talk about, whatever you want to talk about, argue your point for Diva of the Week, whatever have you. So when we get to the end of the show, if you guys are looking at your screen, when we go to this right here, when we go to Axis After Dark, you're on the show, your name will highlight up on the left-hand side when you're talking on the show. So if you want to be on the show, at Winkler, and then he'll make sure you're in my server because you have to be in my server in order to be on the air. Okay, so back to the show. I want to start this week, and I think I'm going to start doing this every Tuesday. I want to start out with, like, what were the major stories of the week? And for this time, for week 2 in particular. First and foremost, I think for me personally, the surprise of the weekend was the way Sioux Falls handled the champs. The way they handled Atlanta, that completely shocked me. I did not see that coming. I kind of got blindsided by that. Another main story, I think, from this weekend was Louisiana and London with all their smack talking and trash talking leading up to their games. And then Louisiana coming out and dominating the first half, but then London coming back in the second to make it a close game. I think that made for just the perfect game to kick off the weekend. I thought that was amazing. And then the other one for me was the other big story were the heartbreaks. The heartbreaks of Portland and Mexico City. Oh my gosh. I mean, both teams with victory in their grasp, only to have both the game and their hearts just ripped out. It was just brutal for me. And hopefully those teams are recovering well. I hope so. We're going to have all the week 2 recaps here in just a little bit from the guys at Sim Scouts Inc. and my very special guest, Slinn Shady, GM from Vegas, in a moment. But first, I want to do something else new I'm going to start doing every Tuesday. And I want to discuss the SFL's injury report. So we only had 2 injuries this weekend. And I want to start tracking this for a reason. Actually, Ethan Kai is the one tracking this for us, so special thanks to him. It's interesting because week 1 we had 6 injuries. This week we were down to 2, one of which was definitely more a factor than the other. On the very first play from scrimmage in that very first game of week 2, Chase Earl catches a pass over the middle from Johnny Pickler and wasn't seen for the entire rest of the game due to back spasms. Luckily, Mike Twinscrew was able to step up, help his team get the W, and, the rest is history there. The other injury from week 2 wasn't quite as serious as far as game goes. It was on a kick return in the early fourth quarter. by Jacob McCall of Arizona. Arizona pretty much had that game in hand, I think, at that point. He tore his MCL, but Arizona went on to win anyway. But thank you to the miracle worker doctors of the SFL. Both players will be in their respective lineups for week 3. It's a miracle. You got to love those SFL doctors. So, again, special thanks to Ethan Kai for keeping track for that. And I also want to thank J.R. Lovelace. J.R. Lovelace made this graphic for me, the injury report. I don't know if you guys have seen his work, but he does amazing graphics. He also did this one. I'm going to show you. You know, we've got, so what I say, tonight we on the show, we've got Sim Scouts Inc. He didn't make that one, but he did make this one, this Jack's Data. We're going to be using their data like we did last Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be using them every week. And what I'm going to do is on Thursday, I'm actually going to have Jack Wall join me, and I'm going to see if they can kind of switch off on Thursdays and give us live information on why spreads are the way they are, why the over-under is the way they are. So we're trying to add stuff to the show every day, every week, just to make it better for you guys. So again, I have in my server, I have a whole channel for show ideas. So if you have ideas, please put them in there. How am I sounding right now, by the way? Hey, Easy, what's up? My boy Easy. You guys see Tommy Easy 5? I was in the Marine Corps with him. I go back with him 30 years. Thanks, Easy, for coming in. Jeff, good to see you. Anybody else new pop in other than I named before? No, it looks like about the same people. All right, so let me introduce our special guests and our regular guests. From Sim Scouts Inc., we have Eagle Mondavi back with us. Eagle, what's going on?
Hey Dave, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Frank, the franchise Wade, is back with us as well. Frank, what's going on with you?
Good evening, Dave. How y'all doing?
Doing great. As always, Gunny's in the house. Gunny, how you doing tonight, bro? You good? Let's see if he can unmute himself.
Outstanding as always.
Great to hear. Love it. We also have Thomas Smith from Sim Scouts Inc. as well. Frank is also from them. And from my beloved Lone Star Glory. Thomas, what's going on?
Hey, hope everyone's doing well.
Okay, great. And then our special guest of the week that will be our special recapper for the week 2 games is Slinn Shady, general manager and linebacker from Las Vegas. Slinn, what is going on?
David, how are you?
I am doing outstanding. Thank you for staying up late and sticking this out with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for calling me special.
Well, I have a different definition of that for you, but we'll talk about that later. Hey, real quick, did everybody sound good? Looks like, oh, good. Looks like somebody says sound good, sound good. Okay, great. Yeah, Hugo, it might be from your hearing loss from the military, bro. You might want to call the VA about that. Okay, so let's get the recap started. Like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, first game out the box, right? We've got Louisiana and London talking all their trash, and I think London strikes first. Louisiana then dominates the rest of the half. London comes back, makes it a game, what have you. But Thomas, tell us about this kind of just great way to start off week 2 game between London and Louisiana.
Oh, you've got it right there, Dave. This started early before the players even got on the field. This week started off with London, Louisiana, jabbing back and forth at each other. Everything that went on that everybody knows about. It was heated, and everybody knew this was going to be a great game. It all started out with all Louisiana early, but man, did London surge back. It was a really fun game to watch. Just seeing Louisiana take that lead, watching the chats on the game, seeing their players explode, being excited and everything, and then just thinking, how's the rest of this game going to go? And watching London charge back. I think to me, a couple of the key things were how Reggie Streeter did, going off for a total of 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think that really helped their offense a lot.
Yeah, he crushed it.
Oh, yeah, he did. And then that Louisiana D-line with all them rookies they got. Ross Napoli came out. He put up 2 sacks. Luther Gahn came out, got his first career sack. I think overall it was just a great team performance from Louisiana from start to finish. London definitely had a lot of great things in there. The way they surged back, I think the most they were down by at one point was 17. And then just surging back and making this a 3-point game, they definitely fought the whole game. It just came down to too little, too late.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, It was a fantastic game to watch, though. I was on the edge of my seat the entire second half. It was awesome. So Jack's Data had this game. Louisiana favored by 7, so they were really close there. Over under a 51.5. And they scored 59. So again, like I said, these first couple weeks, if they're within 10 points, I think they're doing a great job. So they got that. And then the who you got, the who you got for us SFL fans, not even close compared to the game. We had Louisiana 185-46, so we got the W. But man, I think we were a little too overconfident on that game. Thomas, you got anything else more to add on that before we move on to Queen City?
Last thing I want to add to that is that I think we watched a new rivalry dawn for sure. I think every time these teams play, everybody's definitely going to be tuning in.
I completely agree with you. Hopefully, Cam, if you're listening, we can put that on the schedule every year. Okay. Second game on Saturday, Queen City at Fort Worth. I think most people thought Queen City was going to come in and take care of business. If you looked at the, I think there were some Queen City picks. I don't know if Pickler's in the chat, but if he is, I think there were some Queen City picks in the Survivor pool. And if whoever picked Queen City, then, obviously they'll be rebuying. But, Slinn, tell me about this Queen City at Fort Worth surprised game, at least to me. Or don't.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I was one of those people who did lose money on Queen City losing. I did pick them in the Survivor pool, but Fort Worth played an absolute hell of a game. Obviously, Jason Williams going to take most of the glory, getting over 100 yards receiving and 100 yards rushing, which rarely happens. You see a lot of 100-plus yards rushing performances in the SFL, but you rarely see where it's both. But I thought, from watching the game from the start, the Fort Worth defense they set the scene for the victory, really. The defensive line got a lot of pressure on Caswell. They held Jet Zero to under 3 yards a carry, which kind of allowed the offense to get the lead and then forced Queen City to throw it. I thought it was interesting that Nacho Sicario got a interception against his former club. That was a nice sort of thing to see, a nice talking point. And there was some other good young performances from other players other than Williams. Thought Cameron Curtis put in a good rookie performance as a receiver. For Queen City, Jeff Duffy was immense as always, getting 3 sacks. But other than that, they had a better second half. But Fort Worth were always in control. Deezer Powell, as a big free agent signing coming across, didn't really do much apart from getting his touchdown. And to be honest, Fort Worth just controlled the game from minute 1 to minute 60.
Yeah, they really did. I was, like I said, I was completely surprised. Not only by a lot of games this weekend, I was surprised. But I think the only thing that would have been more surprising is if this game had been in Queen City and Fort Worth went into Queen City and did the same thing. That would have been even worse, I think.
Yeah. Although having said that, I think if they played again in Queen City, I would probably still put money on Queen City winning.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, actually. Let's see, Jack's Data. I'm going to see if I can... There you go. I'll put that up while I'm talking about them. So Jack's Data had this game. Queen City favored by 4, so obviously they did not cover that. But the over-under, 45.5, and they scored 48 points. Really good. And then us, SFL Nation, we got our butt kicked on this one pretty bad. 172-61 in favor of Queen City, and obviously that didn't turn out that way. Let's see. Game 3 on the docket on Saturday, as I pull it up here. I don't know if maybe I should just skip this one. I don't know. What do you think? I'm not really liking the score I see on this game. Lone Star at Vancouver. Lots of guys that played for Lone Star, or that played for Vancouver last season on Lone Star this season. So it was maybe a little emotional. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Andy was wanting to prove a point, and maybe he did, because the score shows that we didn't really do much. Frank, what did you see in the Lone Star at Vancouver game?
Well, I think I was one of the very few that picked Lone Star to win
You
this
were.
game last week.
You were.
And I thought at halftime, I thought I was riding this pretty good. I thought, the defense is keeping Lone Star in the game. You had Ace that was, I thought was going to rebound from the 3 interceptions of last week and improve on that. He did not. But I felt that the defense was keeping Lone Star right there tight. Now, Vancouver had a well-balanced attack in week 1, and Lone Star was able to take Robert Redford out of the game. Not a lot from him there. He was Vancouver had to rely on Tom Pepper, in which Tom Pepper stood up. I mean, his quarterback rating was above, I think, 110 something, and he was 26 of 36 for 380 yards. He was sacked 4 times and threw 2 interceptions, but he was able to get the job done. Rich Pratchard was there for Pepper time and time again, hauling in 10 catches for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns. Drew Hamilton on the defense, 12 total tackles, 10 solo, 2 interceptions. And then Kevin Brackett, 12 total tackles, 9 solo, a total of 5 interceptions for Vancouver. Ace is going to be good. He's just going through some growing pains right now, and he'll improve on on those. And he's got a good team behind him. The defense is going to have to keep them in the games. Ike McBride was very productive, I thought. Averaging 3.9 yards a carry. That's what you want. You want 3 to 4 yards in a cloud of dust, and you can keep moving the ball. 13 for 51, not flashy, but got the job done.
Right.
And then I think with receivers like Axis and Hammer on your roster, you've got some weapons on the outside. Who would have thought that rookie tight end Adam Williams would be the leading receiver with 9 receptions?
He tore it up.
117 yards. Yeah, so very proud for him.
A lot of him was in the second half, I believe, too, right?
That is correct. That is correct. Now I still say that the Bash brothers, the linebacking core for Lone Stars is the best in the league, and you got Doug Day leading that group with 11 tackles, 9 solo. Freddie Trammell, Brian Craven, all adding to the mix, and then you got Al Lewis with 3 sacks. So the defense is there. They just got to go through the growing pains with Ace.
Yeah, I agree. I think our defense is definitely carrying us through the first part of this season. I was actually very encouraged in the first half or at halftime. We gave up that one big play for the touchdown. Other than that, it's a 3-0 game for the whole half. I was feeling pretty good, and then Vancouver kind of just did their thing in the second half, unfortunately. Jack's data had Vancouver favored by 7, which I think they might have covered that a little bit. Let's see. The over and under 49.5, which is a little more than the 37 they scored, so they were close on that. SFL Nation got it right, though. 137-93 on the Who You Got in favor of Vancouver, which puts SFL Nation at 2-1 coming out the gate on Saturday. Real quick, before we move on to Carolina at Vegas, let me just remind everybody, for those of you who may not have been here at the beginning of the show, at the end of the show, we're going to take some callers. If you want to get on the show, if you want to yell at me or yell at one of the panelists or, talk about a game or make your case for Diva of the Week, whatever you want to do, at Winkler in the chat so he can get you on the server and we can get you on. We're going to do that at the end of the show. I know we've talked about it the last couple shows, and I want to make that happen today. So let's get you guys in here and let's get you guys talking. All right, next game on the docket. What do we got? Carolina at Vegas. Slinn Shady's team showed up. I think this was another surprise for some of SFL Nation. Eagle, what did you think?
So last Thursday when we chatted, I said that I wasn't going to switch my theories after 1 week, and this was a prime example. Everybody was high on Carolina after week 1, and I stuck with Vegas for week 2. It was day and night with both teams, from Carolina from last week to this week, and from Vegas from last week to this week.
Agree.
I want to give a shout out to Scott Johnson, who had his first 2 touchdowns, a rushing and a receiving touchdown of his career.
Yep.
Also, Shea Carroll, he returned the opening kick 100 yards for Carolina. So Carolina thought they were starting out hot, and it just fizzled out a little bit. Sully didn't have the greatest game. He threw 4 interceptions. The Rahman family, all of them did fantastic. Tom threw for 4 touchdowns for 313 yards. Tom Rahman Jr., he had 10 tackles. He had 12 total tackles. There was Thomasina Rahman got the interception return for 33 yards for a touchdown. So just overall, a better game out of Las Vegas and a worse game out of Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hate to say it with Slinn on the air, but I actually took Carolina in the survivor pool. So guess what I'm doing this week? I'm rebuying. I'm glad you find that amusing. Eagle, is that all you got on that one?
Yeah, and just one last shout out to Elsie Pryor for Vegas, who got 2 touchdowns, and Harish for staying healthy.
Yes, Harish, that's 2 in a row. And I still have it written down when Rochelle was on the show, and she predicted he would not get hurt. So 2 weeks down, 10 to go, Harish, if you're in here listening. Let's see. Jack's data had Las Vegas favored by 3. They more than covered that. Over under at 45.5, and they blew that out of the water. So that was a little tough game for them, maybe. And then we got our butts kicked, SFL Nation. Who you got? We had Carolina 153 to 74, so that puts us at 2-2 on the opening day on Saturday. Not great, actually. All right, so then we move on to Sunday. Sunday starts off with whatever the Florida thing was. I know they told me on Thursday, Battle of whatever freeway is in Florida.
The I-95.
Is that what it is? I-95? I guess I should probably write that down for next time. And I got to be honest with you. I expected a closer game, but I was not surprised that Jacksonville won. Oh, Eagle, we're going back to you on this one. So back to you on Florida at Jacksonville.
Yeah. Right from the opening kickoff, this game was Jacksonville's. I mean, Florida didn't score till the end of the fourth quarter. Into the fourth quarter. Jacksonville, they scored 17 points in the second quarter to go up big at halftime. I kind of felt bad for Florida. I mean, they're running the 4 receiver set, and after 2 weeks, they've only scored 17 total points. So I'm not really quite sure what the issue is down there in Florida.
Hopefully, there's a couple other teams running the 4 wide receiver sets too, right?
Yeah, but Florida's the only one that seems to be struggling with scoring with it.
Okay.
I want to shout out to Hunter Norwood, who had 5 sacks this weekend.
He was a beast.
7 tackles, 5 sacks. Actually, the Jacksonville defense got 7 sacks, but 5 of those were from Norwood. Gerald Lawless, he's leading the SFL right now in pass deflections with 7. Jared Willis, he ended with 131 yards and a touchdown. Just overall, to me, it was just easy as it could be for Jacksonville against Florida for this game.
Yeah, easier than I expected. Like I said, I expected them to win, but I didn't expect them to just take care of business the way they did. Jack's data had Jacksonville favored by 4, which obviously they more than covered. They had the over-under at 38.5, which was really good since that game scored 34 points. And SFL Nation, we got back on top with a win to go 3-2. We had Jacksonville winning that game 167 to 65 in the Who You Got. And of course, I forgot to put the graphic up, but there you go, real quick. So that was the first game on Sunday. Second game on Sunday was Charleston at Baltimore. This was a game I think everybody had their eyes on. Both teams started off at 0-1. Both teams with playoff aspirations this season, and everybody knowing about it and everybody talking about it. Frank, break this game down for us.
All right. The Predators starting off strong, but not able to finish, and that seems to be the theme song, if you will, for this weekend is finishing, and Predators not being able to do that. TD Drew throwing for 331 yards, two touchdowns, and no interception. And not to be outdone, you got Keith Swearengin running for 159 yards on 19 carries and 2 touchdowns. Buchanan Simons explodes on the scene with 6 grabs for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns. And 2 of those catches we know were from way downtown. Ken Maccaro led the team with 11 targets, 11 catches, 90 yards. And John Reese and John Bravo led the team in tackles. Again, finishing is the key to what teams have to do to win this league. And with the Predators not able to finish, Baltimore ends up taking advantage of that. Ended up being one of my top games of the week, probably everybody else's as well.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little nervous for Baltimore when they were running down the field, had the ball, were in field goal territory, and they kept doing little short passes and getting out of bounds and things like that. And I was like, just run the ball, let them call their timeouts, and then kick the field goal. But they knew what they were doing. I guess they were thinking we can't give them any time, and if we do, we're going to have to score a touchdown. And
Right.
they put the ball in Gaines' hands, and that's a man you can trust right there.
Yeah.
And he breaks away and scores that touchdown at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I think, you know what, you hit the nail on the head. I think you're right. I think the theme of the weekend was teams didn't finish. I think you hit the nail on the head on that. Let's see here. Jack's data had Baltimore favored by 7, so that was pretty close. They got 5. They won by 5. You've over under a 54.5. They scored 71, so that wasn't really close. But 2 in a row for SFL Nation on the Who You Got. We dominated on this one, 191 to 38 for Baltimore. That was the second biggest margin of the entire weekend on Who You Got. So that game certainly Baltimore won, but that certainly wasn't the easy game that everybody seemed to think it was going to be. Let's see. The next game on Sunday, which is the game to me most disappointing of the week personally. Obviously, part of it is because I played with Atlanta last year. But also, I think I expected a little better game with the defending champs, a rematch of the championship game. Apparently, Sioux Falls maybe still a little heated, maybe a little upset over losing that championship game because they kind of took it out on Atlanta on Sunday. Thomas, what do you think?
I'm going to be honest with you, Dave. I'm excited to talk about this game, but first off, I want to throw it on rewind to Thursday. I want to remind everybody that I called this. I said Sioux Falls minus 17, and everybody started laughing. Everybody in the chat's losing their minds. Sioux Falls minus 17. What are you talking about? And Sioux Falls won this game by 21 points.
So you were wrong, technically.
Hey, I took the over, okay?
There you go.
but no, this was to me it was a definitely interesting game to watch. I think Sioux Falls put the whole league on notice with this game, starting off with a commanding lead. Colin Hart just went off the entire game, and just every time the ball was in his hands, he was doing something with it. And this game, like you said, it nobody expected this. It was just surprising that Sioux Falls, it was them all day. They had the control of this game from the second the ball was kicked. And to me, a couple of the most interesting things. One thing a lot of people aren't going to notice is the balance that Sioux Falls had on that offense. They had 14 passing attempts, 14 carries by their fullback, and then 20 carries by their running back. That was really interesting to me that they only passed this ball 14 times, and they put up 35 points.
Wow.
The biggest question to me is why does BDG Hollywood have 25 total carries through 2 weeks?
Well, how many did he have? Do you know how many he had against Sioux Falls? How many carries?
He had 12 carries.
12. Well, I am actually I thought he only had like 6 carries in week 1. He had more than that, I guess, then.
Yeah, he had 13 in week 1 and then 12 in week 2.
Yeah,
now his receptions are up. He's getting the touches. He's just not getting the carries.
Right, he's getting his swing pass and spin cycle thing. But you're right. I think he should be touching that 25 times a game, not for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just think the storyline of the game is Dynasty played well, just not enough to get past the Sioux Falls defense, and you can't knock them there. I mean, Sioux Falls went out last week against Matt South, a higher rated quarterback, and Matt South couldn't get going against his defense. Brian Dynasty comes out there as a rookie. Everybody kind of knew he was going to struggle a little bit, but he still put up decent numbers. I think he had around 350 passing yards, a couple touchdowns. He still showed up to play. It was just too little, too late. And then a question I just wanted to pitch to the audience on this one. Do you think it's a case of the rookies, the rookie quarterback, or do you think Sioux Falls is really this dominant?
Yeah, I would think after the first 2 weeks, I would be on the Sioux Falls as this dominant bandwagon. To
I
be honest with
completely
you.
agree.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, uh, let's see. Jack's data had this game a pick'em, and over under a 55.5, and it was 49, so that was really close. Unfortunately, SFL Nation 127 to 107 for Atlanta, so we lost that one again. So that makes us what, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3 through 7 games. Not really doing that great. The next game, before I get to it, Eagle, we're going to go to you anyway for this Denver Portland game. But before we get to that, I wanted to see if you could let the audience know a discussion you and I actually had earlier today about rookie quarterbacks, the 3 rookie quarterbacks, on how they played last week versus this week. Do you mind sharing that with everybody?
Yeah, no worries. Way to put me on the spot. I appreciate it.
That's what I do, bro.
So I was kind of looking at the three rookie quarterbacks last week. Dynasty played phenomenal. Ace played above average, and Javier, we all know how Javier played, right? This week, same kind of thing, but Javier played phenomenal. Bryant played above average to above average, and Ace didn't play very well. So I'd be curious every week if it's going to be that kind of trend where one plays phenomenal, one plays average to above average, and one just plays really, really poor.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I think based on that rotation, Ace should have an outstanding week in week 3.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
If that happens, you know.
We're calling it right now. I wrote it down. Ace is.
Dave, can I?
Yeah, Slinn, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's just interesting that I wonder if there's a home field advantage scenario with it where they, naturally younger players would do better at home than on the road. So obviously Ace at home performed really well, went to Vancouver, struggled.
Right.
Same with Dynasty. And I know Javier had 2 games at home, but I'm just wondering if that'll play out as the season goes along.
Yeah, interesting. Well, technically, 5 out of those 6 support what you said, except for the very first game for Javier. So that could be part of it. Feeling more comfortable at home, home field advantage, that kind of thing. I could see that. Let's see. Eagle, or did I do I did Jack's data for this race. So Eagle, Denver at Portland, one of the heartbreak games of the weekend. I thought Portland was going to win it at the end. They had it in their grasp, but tell me what happened.
Just another game of can't finish, right? We've talked about it so far. But Kramer Jackman, 90 for 9 in his career in field goals, and stabbed the hearts of those Portland fans, but made a lot of people in Johnny Pickler's survivor pool very happy.
I think, just to clarify, too, I believe he's 90 for 90 in the regular season. I think I heard somewhere that he did miss one in the postseason somewhere.
So I'd have to look into that.
But I think you're right about 90 for 90 in the regular season, I think, is for sure.
So going back to this game, Josh Miller, in my opinion, again for Denver, underperformed with his high contract. It's, there's no reason to be just throwing 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. He actually in the chat made a meme of himself after the game where it was like the first 3 quarters he was like Gardner Minshew, and the 4th quarter he was Tom Brady.
Right.
Which, true. You would expect that Tom Brady level with him for all 4 quarters. Portland's defense, again, outplaying their offense, showing that Portland's defense is good. That's what's keeping them in these games. Shout out to Jacob Farmer as well, fullback, getting his first career rush attempt.
Dave, check the graphic.
Oh, I guess it'd be good to see. That's what you're here for, bro. That's what you're here for. Hold on, let's see. See, I was still too shocked by that Atlanta game. It's mesmerized me. Eagle, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, no worries. I just expect, and then for Portland going on, I expect a little bit more out of Matt South and Truzman. I want Truzman to get his yards per carry up. It's still a little low in my opinion. They're right around, I think, 2.5 yards per carry. Matt South, he's slowly getting into it, but he needs to help. He's got Connor Weston, who's done very well for Portland. He got a second touchdown. Gene Valentine for them had 67 yards. But I'm going to go to the defense back. Chris Stosh had 2 picks and Derek Majors had 1, and they each had 1 defensive touchdown, again off of mistakes by Josh Miller throwing like a fadeaway across his body across the field. Just poor decisions from Josh Miller. Giacomo Jones, he led the team for Denver with 143 yards receiving. Just, again, going back to the fact of not finishing games off.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of pulling for them to pull it out at home too. To be honest with you, I think that would have been a great storyline. Did you mention Truzman? Did I miss that when we were fixing the graphic?
He's still low on his yards per carry, in my opinion, for what a running back should be. I do know. I mean, yes, he's coming from fullback to running back, but I would figure that they'd be more than 2.5 yards per carry.
Right.
And I'll say the last thing with Portland. Portland was the only home team this weekend to lose.
Ooh. And they barely lost. So it was almost a full sweep.
I mean, if I was Portland, it's a win because it's your second game in franchise history. You're finding all of these positives. In the first game, your defense played phenomenal. Your offense underperformed. Second game, your offense got a little better. Your defense still performed very well, with the 2 defensive touchdowns. So we're just hoping for Portland that it gets better and better and better for those offense.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they're super close, and especially against Denver, who I think is one of the top teams this season. So if they're going to play like that against Denver, I see a few W's in their immediate future. To be honest with you, let's see Jack's data here. So this was the biggest spread of the weekend. Had Denver favored by 13.5. They obviously did not cover that, but the over/under 48.5 was only within a half a point of the 49-point score. So that was amazing. We took another one on the chin, SFL Nation, 199-37. We chose we won. Sorry, we won 199-37, but we almost lost that. So that puts us 4-4, I think, after 2 days. Not doing great. Let's see here. Monday games. So here's the thing about the Monday games. I wish they were kind of spread out. I had a hard time. I thought both games were so good. Obviously, I think the Mexico City St. Louis game was better. I was trying to watch both games at the same time, but I don't like it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to Cam. We'll have to get another TV station or something. I'm sure he'll love to hear that from me. St. Louis at home, kind of getting their butts kicked for a little bit by Mexico City. All of a sudden, goes crazy, and a phenomenal play at the end, Thomas, to win it and rip Mexico City's heart out for the other heartbreaker of the weekend. Tell me about that game.
Well, I'll tell you, Dave, before I get into it, I first off, I want to apologize to Eagle here. I want to apologize to the St. Louis and Mexico City fans because I remember on Thursday I said this was going to be one of the boring games of the week, and they proved me wrong. This was one of the best games of the week. It was just a complete knock them out, shoot them out, throw down. There was 902 passing yards between these quarterbacks, over 1,000 yards of offense. There was just so much happening in this game. It was really exciting to watch, and I'm glad they proved me wrong because this was a great game. I think Javier Vasquez coming out with that huge bounce-back game, throwing for 413 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, was a huge turnaround for him, and it definitely shows they know what they're doing over there in St. Louis and that they're for real and that they're here to play. It was just a great game to watch. Like you said, Mexico City charged out like they did in week 1. St. Louis charging back, just both teams gunning the whole game. Obviously, the rushing was a little bit lacking. Mexico City ran the ball better than St. Louis did, but it was just a shootout game with those quarterbacks throwing back and forth. One thing I wanted to point out was that monstrous game by Mike Daggs going for 9 catches, 254 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Insane. Is Daggs still in the chat? Is he still listening? Yeah, I called him Dazzo during that game on accident, but go ahead.
Seeing that, it just made me wonder. And then I started scrolling through all of the games this week, and I'm starting to think this is the year of the tight end. Seeing what Daggs did, seeing what tight ends did last week. Phil Kaz for St. Louis went off for 112 yards this game as well. I believe he was the only receiver for St. Louis over 100 yards. it's blowing my mind what tight ends are doing this year. I think teams have finally figured out how to get their tight ends more involved in that offense.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think somebody brought up earlier too. Who did the Lone Star game? Frank, about even our tight end Adam Williams. I think you're right. Tight ends are I don't know if it seemed like a lot of teams drafted extra DBs and have gone 5, and I think a couple teams even 6 DBs, and maybe they're just covering that long ball and don't want to get beat, and all this under stuff across the middle.
Yeah,
tight ends are just taking advantage of that. I think maybe.
I agree with you there.
Let's see. So I want to make a correction. We SFL Nation, we were 5-3, not 4-4 like I thought. After Saturday and Sunday. So going into Mexico St. Louis game, Jack's data, excuse me, had St. Louis by, Mexico City favored by 10. Obviously they didn't cover that. They were covering that at one point in the game, but they didn't. 49.5 over under, and they blew that out of the water with 82 points between the two of them. And then we did take this one on the chin, SFL Nation, 185-50. We had Mexico City, so that does now bring us down to 5-4. And I don't know, I can't. What did we do last week? I think we were only 7-5, so or 7-4. I mean, I'm sorry, last week. So maybe we have a chance to, we have a chance to tie it, but we can't beat it if we're only 5-4 right now. So that stinks. Let's see. Going back to Monday's game. So then we get into the two Monday night, the other Monday night game, I'm sorry, that was on at the same time as St. Louis. That started just 15 minutes afterwards, which was Houston at Arizona. Now, Arizona seemed, now I was concentrating a little more on that St. Louis game, especially in the fourth quarter. But every time I was looking at the Arizona game, it seemed like they had kind of a comfortable lead, and then Houston would score, and then Arizona would get a lead, and Houston would score. So I don't know if you saw it the same way, Slinn, when you watched it, but that's kind of what I got from the game that night.
Dave, we go from one of the most exciting games I've seen in a long time with Mexico City and St. Louis to what was a bit of a procession, really, for Arizona. The Hyenas were laughing after last week with the win against Fort Worth, but the offense had no bite, and they were stung by Arizona. They were in control. Arizona's experience on defense really showed. I think they turned up and they sort of showed what we expected last week against yourselves. This is the Arizona team that we expected them to be.
Right.
DJ Moses seemed to have greased himself up in butter before the game because no one could lay a hand on him or even bring him down. I haven't exactly got how many yards he managed, but was it 269 or something ridiculous, over 9 yards a carry. The Arizona defense was stifling any of Houston's momentum whenever they got any. There was pockets of good play by Houston, but nothing to trouble Arizona's defense for long. A few sort of shout outs to individual players. Mana Kanaka made an amazing one-handed interception sort of on the goal line to stop Houston scoring a touchdown. EJ seemed to want to be best friends with Kentess Johnson all game. It was in his face the whole time, never stopped. Cliff Allen went 6 for 6 on field goals, so that's really good for the rookie.
That's a lot of field goals. Jeez.
Yeah. And then on Houston's side, Brody Gulch, he is going to be a player. They've picked a really good linebacker there. You can just tell straight away that he's going to be a great player. His build is obviously sort of synonymous with great linebacker play. And I want to give a shout out to Wolf Justice, the defensive end, who somehow managed to chase across the field when DJ Moses made a break and tackle him before he scored a touchdown. I don't know if Moses was running through sand or they just had no stamina left, but Justice somehow managed to catch him up. One last thing, it's a possible concern for the Scorpions is how many field goals they had to take. Yeah. There was a lot of field goals in that game, and against better teams with better offenses, they might struggle having to kick 3 every time.
Yeah, I think there's a few teams like this week that had kickers that had multiple field goals like that. So Yeah, that's something to keep an eye on for sure. Let's see. Jack's data here had looks like Houston favored by 7, so they lost that. But again, they're really good on these over unders. 48.5. The game scored 45. That's really good. Looks like SFL Nation, we lost another one. That puts us at 5-5. We had Houston 138 to 104 over Arizona, so we're only at 500. So hopefully we can get above 500 with this last pick that I'll be going to Frank for here in a second as soon as I pull it up on the screen. And this was another game that was really tight near the end. I don't remember if Tulsa had a lead, Frank, or not, but I know it was really close, really tight, and then it seemed like in the last couple minutes Chicago just pulled away.
There's one thing that we know about Tulsa in 2 weeks. They can score real quick.
Yeah.
And going into the game, I know it was tied at halftime. I believe 17 all halftime. You got Gabriel Manning is putting out outrageous numbers. He was 4 catches for 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. But if you look at time of possession, I believe Tulsa has the ball about 30% of the game, and that's not good. I mean, they're scoring points, but you're getting your defense out there a lot longer than you need to have them out there. And you don't have a running game. Sunzo Robinson, 14 times for 39 yards. I think it's 2.8 yards a carry. Deacon Nickens, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 for 21. That sounds good, but he's intercepted 3 times and sacked 5 times. Offensive line help is needed right there. E.T. King for Chicago was only picked off once, only sacked once. He's 27 to 36, 242. 3 touchdowns. He does a good job of managing the field. And then you got Ash Odom, another running back. It's about 5 running backs this weekend that go over the century mark. 30 carries for 120 yards, plus he hauls in 6 catches. J.C. Torres leads the team with 9 catches, 89 yards and a touchdown. Then you had, Ron Huff, Jesse Vick, Rockefeller, each had an interception. Now, what you got to ask is, what is Tulsa without Manning? In this game, Manning had 171 yards and at a 242 total. That means 71 yards is spread out over all the other skill positions.
Yeah, wow.
If you look over the 2 games, out of 557 passing yards for Nickens, 437 yards are from Manning. Teams are going to start doubling Manning, getting him out of the picture.
Yep.
Somebody else is going to have to step up. The running game is going to have to get better in order for them to make a push.
Wow. That's that's putting a lot of your eggs in one basket. Holy smokes. And I mean, Gabriel Manning went off, which is great, but not if it doesn't translate to W's, that's for sure. Jack's data, let's see here. Jack's data had Chicago by 3, so they covered that. 44.5 on the over-under. They scored 58, so a little more than what I like to call the kind of the 10-point rule that we do with them. But SFL Nation, the who you got, 152 to 48 for Chicago, finally puts us over the hump at 6-5. Man, we struggled this week as a whole league in picking these games. I don't know how bad the survivor pool was, but I'll be looking at that tomorrow. I mean, I know I'm rebuying, but I don't know about everybody else. In a couple minutes, we're going to go to Gunny's Pearls of Wisdom. But before I do, I want to run through the whole panel real quick. And I want to ask you guys this. Who do you think are the 2 best teams in the SFL right now? Like, so if the championship game was this weekend, and I know it's early to ask that, but, we've got a small sample size. We got a couple games. If you had to call it right now, what 2 games would be in the championship game? Eagle, I'll start with you.
I don't have to copy anybody's answers. I'm going to go with Sioux Falls, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2 is questionable. Not questionable, but it could go either way. And I'm going to pick Denver, actually, for my number 2.
Wow. Okay. So you said Sioux Falls and Denver.
Sioux Falls, Denver for me.
Okay. Frank, what about you?
Well, now I'm copying somebody's answers. I was Sioux Falls for sure. I think they're the team to beat. But instead of going Denver, I'm going to go Jacksonville.
Okay. All right. So, but you still kind of feel like those 3 teams are in the mix.
Yes.
Okay. Who we got next? Slinn Shady.
I think Sioux Falls, no question. They just look so dominant. And then the other team that I'm going to choose is Baltimore. I think Baltimore have had two really tough games, and despite giving away a lot of points, they will be there or thereabouts come the end of the season.
You think that Baltimore's loss to Atlanta is still a good loss, considering how Atlanta lost to Sioux Falls?
Yeah, because no one would have predicted that Dynasty was going to come and have the game he did. He had the game of his life in his first game.
Right.
So I still think that Baltimore's offense is so potent that and they're going to make the postseason. I can see it. So yeah, Baltimore.
Hey, Gunny, let me get your two teams real quick. I see you're ready to rock and roll, but I still got to get to Thomas. But since you're unmuted, who do you think are the two best teams in the SFL right now? Oh, Gunny, are you there? I thought he was unmuted. I see his name popping up on the screen, but I don't hear anything. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can reset him real quick. Let's go to Thomas real quick then. Thomas, two best teams in the SFL after week 2.
I think the two best teams in the SFL continuing on played against each other in week 2. I think Sioux Falls and Atlanta are still two teams to beat. Even though Sioux Falls blew out Atlanta, I think Atlanta still got that roster that they're going to make a deep run.
You think so? Why do you think Atlanta is better than Jacksonville or Denver or even Baltimore?
Just because of that roster they walk out there with. They didn't really lose any outside of Marcus Dunhill. They didn't lose much in the offseason. Most of that team came back. They've got a solid roster. Their receivers are great. Their defense is good. I think this week was just a case of Sioux Falls showing up hard against a rookie quarterback. I think Atlanta's still the number 2 team in my eyes.
Okay. Gunny, are you with us? I see him here, but I can't hear him. Can you guys hear Gunny at all?
I can hear you.
Okay, Gunny, who do you think are the two best teams in the SFL?
I'm taking Sioux Falls, and I'm going to go with Baltimore as well.
And you
They
still
were the number 2 seed last year.
And you still think Sioux Falls is going to win the whole thing?
I do.
Okay. Gunny, I'm going to come back to you in just a minute so we can do your pearls of wisdom. Before we do, I actually think it's Sioux Falls. I think Sioux Falls is the consensus, right? The best team in the league right now. I'm actually going to go with Jacksonville as the second best team, with Denver not far behind. What I find interesting is there's 4 teams that are still undefeated, and they're Sioux Falls, Jacksonville, Denver, and Louisiana, and none of you mentioned Louisiana at all. I find that very interesting. One of the undefeated teams. You guys think, and just maybe one or two, you can just jump in here real quick. Do you think Louisiana's schedule has just been too easy, or why do you think they're not one of the best teams?
Because one of the best teams wouldn't have let London come back into the game like they did.
Okay, that's a good point. Anybody else?
I second what Slinn said.
Okay. Real quick, I just got some info in my DM. The stats for the survival pool, week 2 results: 54 active entries, 39 correct picks, only 15 incorrect picks. So we actually did better than I thought we would. So kudos to those of you who actually don't have to rebuy this week like I do. Gunny, are you all still set up for me?
I am good.
Okay, you can rock and roll whenever you're ready.
Good evening, SFL. Many of you may not know, but I have a brother with a learning disability. In season 14, I was a non-contract punter for the Chicago Wildcats. This season, the non-contract punter is a seeing impaired punter number 7, Travis Warren. His brother is Danny Stinson, which is also defensive tackle of Chicago, and also he played for Madison Lynx in the minor leagues. Travis Warren, if you're listening to this, hit him deep, aim for the coffin corners, and welcome to the SFL. With 3 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and an interception, Gunny donates $20 more to the Lone Star Glory charity of Objective Zero, and that will be $32 now for the total of the season so far through game 1 and 2. That is all.
All right, Gunny. Thank you as always. Excuse me. Love all the info that you come up with. Really do. Thank you for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. I had another message real quick. 25 of those correct picks of the 35 of the Survivor pool this week were Denver. So apparently everybody's loving Denver, I guess. Let's go on to Diva of the Week. I explained this before, but for those of you who might not be able to listen every show, I've come up with an award, a weekly award. It's kind of like a Player of the Week award, except it's open to more interpretation. It could, like I mentioned before, it could be based on stats. It could be based on just one phenomenal play. It could be based on, a touchdown celebration if you want, or trash talking before a game and then coming out and kicking their butt, whatever. It's open to interpretation. So let's get these week 2. Or let me remind everybody, last week, Bryant Dynasty won week 1 in a landslide. He had over half of the votes, so he just crushed it. And then, what does Bob Funk say? 25 people were sweating that Denver game. Yeah, they were. Imagine that. That would have been a lot of rebuys, Bob. Imagine what, 25 times 20, another, is that $500? Easy math? I don't know. Diva of the Week award, though. Bryant Dynasty won last week, week 1. Every week we're going to be giving our nominees. You guys are going to vote on those nominees in my server. There's actually a special room that says Diva of the Week voting. You go in there, you vote. You're only going to be able to vote once. We changed the voting from last week. There were some restrictions last week on it, so we changed the system up. So hopefully this is going to be run by Google. So hopefully we still get as many people voting. You got to log in with your Google thing. So I'm sure almost everybody has a Google account of some sort. You just got to log in there, then it will let you vote, but it will not let you vote more than once, which is what we want. So let's see. Week 2, and I got to tell you, gosh, there were so many names. I think I had a harder time week 2 than I did week 1 with Diva of the Week. So let me start with you, Eagle. Who is your Diva of the Week nominee? As a matter of fact, let me do this. We had so many people to choose from. I asked all these guys to come up with not just the Diva of the Week, but I want an honorable mention as well. We won't vote on the honorable mentions, but I want people to know that we at least recognize them and discuss them. That their play this week did not go unnoticed. So, Eagle, give me your honorable mention and then who your Diva of the Week nominee is.
So I will 100% say that I wanted to be biased this week with my Diva of the Week selection.
I know you did.
I wanted to take the whole St. Louis team as my Diva of the Week. From what happened last week against Louisiana to this week, I wanted to, there was a shout for Drew, because Drew, with his first win as a head coach, getting the pick 6 to win the game. Javier from 7 interceptions to 0 and I think QBR was like 140 point something.
Right.
Ryan Owens going off for 170 yards. Phil Koss 112 yards. Even like a fun shout out to Cairo Martinez, who averaged under 1 yard a carry but had 2 touchdowns. So I really wanted to pick the whole St. Louis team. But my Diva of the Week selection is Hacker and Nacho for Fort Worth.
Explain that.
So first game against Queen City, Hacker and Nacho, and they come out and they show the league up. I mean, most of us picked Queen City to win that game, and the game planning that the two of them did against their former club makes complete sense for me. For my Diva of the Weeks, I'm more on storylines and stats, and I think that was one of the most interesting stories this weekend, was Hacker and Nacho playing against Queen City and saying, yeah, we got you. We took care of you. We took care of business.
Okay. So honorable mention, the entire St. Louis squad, but your nominee is Nacho and Hacker for basically their defensive prowess. How do you
defense
say that?
And offense. I'm going with the coaching staff this weekend as my Diva of the Week with their game plan against their former team.
Okay. All right. There it is. It's logged in. Nacho and Hacker. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit both their pictures in that little star if they win, but we'll give it a shot. Frank, Who is your honorable mention and who's your Diva of the Week nominee?
Honorable mention. I don't want a bunch of trash thrown at me or anything, but I'm going with the kicker from Arizona, Cliff Allen. He's 20 points of the Arizona's 32 points during the game, 6 for 6 in field goals, and 2 for 2 in PAT. So I give some love to the kickers, and not a lot of people like to do that, but that's pretty impressive right there.
That is pretty impressive.
My Diva of the Week. I went with who did I go with? I went with Manning last week. I'm going to go with a different person this time. I'm going Fort Worth here as well. I'm going Jason Williams, running back.
Oh, Williams,
he's got 28 attempts for 108 yards, 3.9 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. You're thinking, okay, that's just average. You got a running back that gets over 100 yards, big deal. But he also had 12 catches for 104 yards, 8.7 per catch. So you're talking 40 touches on the ball, 212 total yards, 5.3 yards average every time he touches the ball with 3 touchdowns. That's 62% of Fort Worth's offense. So that's my Diva of the Week.
Yeah, not every week you hear a running back rush for 100 yards and receive for 100 yards. That was pretty awesome. Let's see. Slinn, Shady, who is your honorable mention and who is your Diva of the Week nominee for week 2?
I mean, it's tricky to choose with Eagle basically choosing an entire WWE roster of divas, but we'll give it a go. So my honourable mention is Mike Daggs. It was just unguardable. I mean, uncoverable. He was 6'7", fast. He's like a giraffe with hands. I'm sure he must have been doing some off-season training with Usain Bolt because I've never seen him run that fast.
Right.
He was outstripping corners and safeties. It was ridiculous.
As a tight end, unbelievable, yeah.
As a tight end, yeah. And then my Diva of the Week, this is quite painful considering he plays for our arch rivals, the Denver Nightwings. But Kramer Jackman saved myself and many other folks $20 so we could stay in the survivor pool and not have to feed Johnny Pickler's greedy hand.
So you have all these possible ways to go, and you base your decision on monetary reasons.
It's like a hobo pick, but in a different way. Eagle's allowed to pick his entire team. I'm allowed to pick money.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you got Daggs as your honorable mention, Kramer as your Diva of the Week nominee. Now, he's the first 2-time nominee now. He was actually nominated last week as well for his 57-yard record-breaking field goal. So 2 of the first 6 players for Diva of the Week are kickers. I don't know what's happening. Are wide receivers not divas anymore? Is it kickers now? I don't know what's going on. Thomas, you want to clear this up for me or what?
Definitely. I think for me, I'm taking the 2 biggest stat getters. My honorable mention is going to be Mr. DJ Moses out of Arizona, putting up 262 rushing yards, 47 receiving yards, and he had that rushing touchdown. Going out there, putting up 300 yards, that was huge to me. And a lot of people might be sitting there wondering, how is a guy with 300 yards your honorable mention? Well, it's because the man Hunter Norwood exists. The guy who went out there and got 5 sacks. He's my Diva of the Week.
So, yeah, DJ Moses, he had, I think, over 300 all-purpose yards, didn't he?
Yep, 262 rushing, 47 receiving.
Yeah, and I think, was it Slinn that had that recap that game earlier, said he averaged almost a first down per carry?
Over 9 yards per carry, 6 yards per catch.
That's pretty insane. So that's a good I'm sorry, he was your honorable mention, right? Sorry about that.
Yes, and then my Diva was Hunter Norwood with 5 sacks.
Right, with 5 sacks, which he was a beast. We talked about that earlier as well. All right, so I guess it's down to me now. So just for the record, I just want everybody to know last week's winner, Bryant Dynasty, picked and nominated by yours truly. So I'm 1 for 1 on the Diva of the Week, which is suiting for this award. I'm going a couple different things. So I just want to throw out a few other names of people that did not even get honorable mention, but I think they're worth mentioning. I think Mike Dazzo, Ron Huff, and Rich Pratchard all had amazing games this weekend. I mean, Pratchard tore us up against Lone Star. Ron Huff, he probably won the game by himself. with those blocked punts and interception, and Dazzo throwing for like 336 yards and 4 touchdowns with no picks. It's all amazing players. You guys didn't make the cut, but I just wanted to at least give you guys a little love and let you know. My honorable mention is actually Colin Hart. 20 carries, 191 yards, 9.6 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. So much like DJ Moses, they both averaged almost a first down rushing, which I think was amazing. But my Diva of the Week is probably one of the divas of the league, also nominated last week. So we now have two-time nominees in Kramer Jackman and now Gabriel Manning. Here's the deal with Gabriel Manning. 171 receiving yards. Okay. He averaged 43 yards per catch. He caught 2 touchdowns. But on top of that, he had 260 return yards. 103 of those came on a kick return from the end zone, and it totaled up 431 all-purpose yards. I don't know how you top that. I don't know how you do it. Gabriel Manning is my nominee for Diva of the Week. So we've got Nacho and Hacker, we got Thrilliams, we got Kramer, we got Norwood, and we got Manning. So voting will be up hopefully later tonight, if not by the morning. You guys have about 24 to 36 hours, give or take, to vote on who you guys think should be Diva of the Week. Those votes are kept secret until tomorrow night, until Thursday night, and then we will announce them on the air. We are a little over our hour time, which isn't terrible. It's pretty good. I did want to find out, let's see, Fonzie, did we have anybody that wanted to jump online at all? That wanted to call in? If they do, we'll start switching the show over before I sign off. If not, we'll just do our regular sign off. I'm trying to look through the chat here. If you wanted to call into the show, just type something in. And if you don't, that's fine too. We can wrap it up normal. I know that you guys didn't know this was going to happen until tonight. So if you don't do it tonight, keep it in mind. We can try again on Thursday night if anybody wants to call in and yell at us or yell at Slinn Shady. If you want to yell at Slinn Shady, tonight's your only chance because he won't be here on Thursday. Just FYI. Let's see what we got here. Diva's right, Player of the Week. All great nominees. Hitting the quarterback. 5. Yep. Okay, it doesn't look like we have anybody coming in. We got one. We do have one. Hold on. Of course we have one because we just got done talking about Diva of the Week, right? So let me clear up this. Let me clear this up real quick, and let's officially go into Access After Dark mode. And who is our guest caller today? It's no other than somebody who was nominated for Diva of the Week last year, Mr. Johnny Pickler. Johnny Pickler, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, boys?
What's up, man? Are you calling to yell at us because we didn't nominate you for Diva of the Week or what?
I just gotta say, man, is this Player of the Week or is this Diva of the Week? Diva of the Week, man. Because it's like, come on now, look at your boy right here. How much shit do I gotta talk to get an effing nominee out of y'all?
Hey, so here's what happened with me, and I can let everybody else talk for themselves. But what happened for me is you let London come back and you made it too close, bro.
Man, talk to my defense.
Baby. Hey, if the second half was like the first half, then I would have nominated you. But
I'm just giving y'all a hard time.
I know you are.
It's all fun and games, and I'm just testing out the call-in feature for you. But
I appreciate you doing that since nobody else wanted to come in here and yell at us. I mean, we were willing to be yelled at tonight, but apparently you're the only one who wanted to do it.
Right. Well, I gave you guys my scolding, and I'm out.
I mean, if anything, it sounds like it scolded your defense rather than us.
Oh, you're right.
Hey, it was my bad. I could have put us up 35-7. I threw the pick 6. Kid was a ball hawk. He made a play on it. I got greedy, but it is what it is. A W is a W. 2-0, baby. Ass in the seats. Balling for the boot. Just beware, baby. 3-0 next week. Night, Tulsa. I'm out.
I feel like I was on the Jim Rome show right now or something. I don't know what happened there all of a sudden. All right. Well, so Johnny Pickler came on the show to yell at us before we before we sign off. It doesn't look like we have any takers, but if anybody else wants to get in on this, you guys can talk about anything you want. If you want to jump on here, you can talk about, games that we chose, games that were played this week, and upcoming games, whatever you want to do. But since nobody else wants to come in, let me go ahead and thank Bad Boy Custom Rods, Trick Apparel, Geralt, Winkler, Eagle Mondavi, for those two for helping me with the show and my server. Thank you to all the listeners. We actually hit some really good numbers tonight, so thank you, everybody. Don't forget, we have on Thursday, again, 9 o'clock at Twitch, every Tuesday, Thursday, see at the T's that nothing changes, is we're going to have the Week 3 previews. We'll also be announcing Week 2 Diva, the week winner. Gunny will obviously be here with his Pearls of Wisdom. And we got a couple other things that we're working on, too, that we want to get in here if we can on Thursday. So thank you to Eagle Mondavi, Frank the Franchise Wade, to Gunny always, to Slinn Shady for coming on as special guest, to Thomas Smith. Anybody have any last words before we sign off? Anybody from the panel?
I do.
Go ahead.
I do as well.
Before, Dave, you want to talk about your giveaway from last week? Because you're gonna forget about it.
Yes, I will.
And you're gonna yell at me because I forgot.
Why? Because you forgot to remind me. Exactly. Hey, So let me do that real quick, and then Thomas and I think Slinn, you said you wanted to say something as well. So last week in the chat, and I don't know if you guys were in the chat, you would have heard it, and it turned out to be Kelly. And I can't remember her name. Is Johnny still on here? Oh, he left already. I don't remember what her name is in the chat. But when I went back and listened to it after the show, I listened to the show, so I could see what we did wrong and what we can improve on. But I also read everybody's comments. And she was just very funny, very interactive, interactive with you guys, interactive even with the panelists that were typing back and forth. It was great. So she was our very first winner, and I wish I could remember her. It's like Gamer Kelly's. What is it?
Kelly's Twitch name is Gamer Kiss Kelly.
There you go, Gamer Kiss Kelly, very first winner, giveaway winner. And again, those are still being worked on. I'm keeping track. As soon as I have them, I'll announce to you guys what they are. But in the meantime, I got a list going, and I'll make sure to get all those out to you. Thomas, what did you have to say before I get to Slinn?
Oh, I just had to toss that shout out to Johnny. I had him in week 1. I wanted to get him again here in week 2 because I was watching you, Johnny. I saw you throwing it up, coming out after all the shit talk, doing your thing, and I just didn't want to show too much bias. I couldn't throw your name up there 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, there you go. See, although a couple people got 2 weeks in a row, I'm telling you, if they had dominated and he had thrown up 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, I think it would have been a no-brainer. He would have been in. Slinn, what did you want to say before we sign off?
I had a slightly more serious question. I want a quick fire answer, as I'm only on here once.
Okay.
Well, potentially. Of the current undefeated teams, who is going to go 12-0 this season? And I just want one answer from everyone without an explanation. Just a quick fire through the rounds.
All right, Eagle, you go first.
Sioux Falls.
Frank?
Sioux Falls.
Thomas?
Sioux Falls.
Gunny, are you still with us? Nope, Gunny's muted. Unfortunately, I have the same answer. I hate that we all answered Sioux Falls. Is it?
You are all boring.
Wait, I got a question on the other side of that.
What's that?
Out of the teams that are 0-2, which is the first one to get their first win?
See, I wanted to ask that, but I thought that would be frowned upon, so I didn't.
Well, I don't even know all the 0-2 teams off the top of my head either.
You've got Portland, Charleston, London, and Florida.
We'd have to know the schedule for week 3.
Yeah, we'd have to know the schedule. I know Charleston has a brutal schedule for the next 2 weeks. So I'm just going to say Florida, not knowing their schedule. Frank, what about you?
How about these 2-0 teams? Which one of these teams is going to make a run and then collapse at the end?
See, I love that. Frank doesn't answer your question. He asks his own question. He's answering a question with a question.
Answer a question with a question. Clever.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. What was the question? I didn't hear it.
Which of the 0-2 teams do you think is going to win first?
I think Florida.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, though, Dave. You got to
Thomas?
listen to these matchups. Florida's going against Vancouver
Okay.
to try and get their first win.
Okay.
You've got Portland going against the Fury to try and get their first win.
Okay.
You've got London going against Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Charleston going against Sioux Falls, so it's looking like London might have the only chance.
Well, let's see what the chat says here real quick and let's see if Gunny's back with us too.
You don't want my answer?
No, bro, you asked the question. Hold on a second. Let's see. So I've got a Charleston in the house. I got a London, a Florida, a London, a Portland at Vegas. Somebody said Portland's going to beat.
No.
Vegas.
I mean, I don't know why. Right, I'm sorry.
Slinn,
The
are
person
you
who said-
going
Doug
down
Britton.
victory?
Doug Britton said that.
Yeah, he plays for Vegas.
Wow. Wow.
Doug, what are you doing, man? Doug,
Wow.
show faith.
Well, he did play for Vegas.
Oh my gosh, that's
He did
amazing.
play for
You know what?
Vegas,
I probably
like
should have
that.
had this up. The way we're talking, I'm just going to leave this up for now. Wow, I can't believe he just talked about your team like that. All right, Eagle, who do you think?
I'm saying Portland.
Who does Portland play next?
They play Vegas. Slinn is going to have one tackle.
Where's the game?
It's in Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's not going to happen. Who does Portland play in week 4? Anybody?
Let me pull it up real quick.
Oh,
No, I don't know.
Because I don't think Portland will beat
Portland
Vegas in
plays
Vegas.
Carolina in week 4 in Carolina.
Yeah, see, I don't know, bro. Vegas. I don't know. See,
yeah, Vegas is too good. That's what you're going to say, Dave, isn't it? Vegas are just too good. Slynn's going to have 10 tackles
No,
at least.
that was
Eagles
the
got-
furthest thing from my
considering-
mind, actually.
Considering his name's Eagle, he's got really poor sight.
Charleston does have a brutal schedule. They play Sioux Falls and Atlanta next 2 weeks.
Oh, Fonzie says that Denver is going to be the last undefeated team. I haven't analyzed their schedule yet, but the only thing that I remember for the first 4 weeks of the schedule is I remember Charleston just having a brutal first 4 games. The rest of these teams, I'm not even sure. I mean, if Louisiana's schedule is pretty good the next couple weeks, it could end up being them. You never know.
The schedules are interesting, considering they're meant to be weighted on how well you did last season. You've got Charleston with the hardest, and then you've got someone like Vancouver, who in theory did as well as Charleston. You've got something like the 17th or the 15th hardest schedule.
Yeah.
So they've really looked out there.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how they, like, for us, for Lone Star. I think that, and I don't know if it was. I'm assuming it was Jack's data. It might have been somebody else that put that spreadsheet out in Gen Chat showing everybody's strength of how tough their schedule is going to be based on last season. And Lone Star, we got like the 9th toughest schedule in the league. And
The only thing is, sorry about to interrupt, Dave, is
go
that
ahead.
some of those are slightly skewed because, you know, if say a team have got Lone Star on the schedule, that counts as a 4 and 8 because that's what Seattle did. Obviously, with it being, but Lone Star is now a completely different team, so it is a bit skewed somewhere in some cases.
yeah, I would agree with that, actually. Let me see if anybody else has got any other comments in here, questions or anything for us. Going to make Vegas. Oh, Hunter Norwood going to make Vegas 13.5-point favorites versus LVA. That's Vegas against Vegas. I don't understand, Hunter. You're saying you're going to make Vegas 13.5-point favorites versus Vegas? Oh, Dynasty, what's up, bro? I didn't see you in there earlier. If I didn't shout you out, my bad. I see you now. I didn't understand what Hunter was saying, so maybe I missed that. And yes, please, somebody draft Hugo. I read it every show. I don't know why he still needs to be drafted since he plays for us, but please draft him. All right, if nobody has anything else, can we finally sign this thing off or what? Is that it from the panel? All right, last.
I will allow you.
All right, last thanks. Let me get the proper screen up here. All right, thank you, Ego, Frank, Gunny, Slinn, Shady, Thomas. Thank you everybody for listening. Very different ending than a normal show, but hey, we're just here to have fun and talk about the SFL anyway. So I want all of you to have a glorious night. I will see you at the tees. Hey, Thursday night, 9 o'clock on Twitch. See ya.